Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm actually going to talk about Stoic and Taoist ideas and how I use them to make sense of my life on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so much for coming back, and yeah, stay tuned. When people talk about being stoic, they talk about being calm under pressure and having your emotions under control, which is, I think, something that we can all agree on. It's a great way to live life, you know, always in control of what's happening on the inside, and always calm no matter what the situation is. And those are two very key components in Stoicism. But to me, what I think about Stoicism and my perspective on it is just, it turns your focus inwards, and it helps you realize that there's a lot of stuff out of your control. And 90% of the stuff that happens in your day-to-day is out of your control. The only thing you can control is how you react to it. You know, whether you want to look at it as a challenge for you to overcome, or something that's just going to keep you down and kind of ruin your whole day. Two big parts in Stoicism that like really resonated with me would be amor fati, which means love fate. Now, there's a very famous Stoic nowadays. His name is Ryan Holiday, and he abides by amor fati alot, which means to love fate. And the way he put it, he's like, you wake up every morning, and no matter what happens, you go, I love that this is happening. I'm like not putting up with it or anything like that, or even tolerating it. Like, no, I love that this is happening. And what I think that means is that, again, like, you can't really control what happens outside of what you think and what you do. You can't control what other people think or do, and the best way to do it is with amor fati is, if you say, I love that this is happening, eventually in your head you'll react with more kindness and more love towards that, which will make your day 100 times better. 100 times better, that's for sure. And another one that I like to use is memento mori. Memento mori translates to remember death. So this is more in line with living your life to the fullest, to your best potential. And with that, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you keep your own mortality like somewhere in your head, you'll remember to be the best you that you can be. And that's something that's really powerful, and it's very scary. Obviously, no one likes to think about their death, but again, it goes to show, like, something like that scary, you know, and it's a fear we all have, but you can actually turn it around and turn it into something good and positive for yourself. You know, it's like, well, I'm gonna die at any second, so I might as well just do my best and just live life to the fullest, filled with love and joy. And I think that is a very, very powerful message. And the way I interpreted it, it's really, really helped me a lot. And I'm happy. I'm happy that I learned those two things, amor fati and memento mori. because it really helps put things into perspective. And so I probably should have explained this more at the beginning, but Stoicism to me is about your perspective on life, you know? And like, it's kind of what you make it out to be, which is fascinating, right? Because like, even if you walk a mile in someone else's shoes and have the exact same upbringing that they do, you could have a completely different outcome, because the way you interpreted all the experiences that you went through would be completely different, could be completely different from the way they interpreted it. And that's fascinating to me. Yeah, anyways, that pretty much just wraps it up on my thoughts on Stoicism. And up next is going to be Taoism. And I can't wait to share my perspectives and my thoughts on that. So I'll see you guys soon. Taoism, probably one of my favorite philosophies, ideologies, religion, I don't even know what to call it, that I've come across, because it's all about being in sync with the universe and in balance with the universe. And it's kind of helped me realize that the universe is ever changing, and that's not to be feared or anything. It is what it is, honestly. And it kind of, I've been saying that my whole life, and now I kind of realize, I'm like, oh, it's kind of a very Taoist thing to say. It is what it is, you know? It's the way of the universe. The universe doesn't do anything inherently good or inherently evil. It just keeps changing, and it's kind of up to us how we go with it and how we want to live our life in accordance with the environment around us, which is ever changing. And I'm gonna go on a little bit longer about Taoism than I was about Stoicism, because it's something that speaks more to me. But again, that's not to say anything bad about Stoicism. Its virtues and its beliefs that it's taught me is phenomenal as well. It's just Taoism is more akin to my personality, I suppose. In terms of kind of slowly learning the ways of the universe, and it's kind of a gentle push and a gentle path is the way I kind of look at Taoism. And yeah, with Taoism, actually, it's the two main things that I took away is the Tao, which is the way. The way being the way of the universe. You can't control what the universe does, and you can't, and that's like big picture stuff, of course, but like in the sense of like a more personal sense, it's, you can't control what the people do around you, you know, like it's their own way, and you have your own way. So with that knowledge, you can either accept that they're going to be the way they are around you, which is probably the best course of action if you can't avoid them. Like, let's say it's a supervisor or a coworker. I think the best way to stop seeing them as a nuisance is realizing, like, hey, they have their own way of supervising, they have their own way of trying to motivate. Now, it might not be for you, but as soon as you realize that that's their own way of doing things, it becomes easier to deal with them. And that's a very, very powerful lesson that I took away from learning about the Tao. The second lesson I took away was, well, the second big principle of Taoism would be Wu Wei, and that translates to effortless action. And that one took a bit longer to understand, but what I've gathered from like my own interpretation and studying of it was that, you know, sometimes just sitting back and letting things happen is what's best. I know that sounds that sounds pretty vague, but just sitting back and kind of analyzing what's happening instead of actively trying to participate in what's happening and trying to change it is sometimes the better course of action. And what that's kind of taught me as well is you don't always have to act on everything. You don't always have to be constantly in motion. It's okay to rest. Resting can be very productive. And the reason resting can be very productive is because you're giving your body time to recover from all the stresses that it's been put through just the day-to-day of going to work, day-to-day of anything really, anything that stresses your body out, which is honestly, in my opinion, everything stresses your body out. Our bodies are constantly being stressed, even if we feel it or not, because everything that is outside of us acts as stimuli for our senses. So it puts them to work a little bit. So eventually they're going to need some sort of rest. And that's what Wu Wei has kind of taught me, is like when you're resting and you're conscious that resting is helping you and building you up, and it's a necessity, then your whole life changes. Like you feel like you're being productive 24/7 even when you're resting, and that's that's a sharp contrast to what we grow up thinking, that sleep is for the weak, 24/7 hustle, stuff like that. And that that is it's good, I guess, like in a societal sense. Yeah, it built the Western society to what it is today, but it came at the cost of the individual's sanity, I think. But that's a bit too big of a topic for this video. I just want to get into like personal stuff, you know, because that's honestly the only thing that I know, is how Wu Wei has helped me. And it's crazy. When I first started to learn about it, I was thinking about like how we don't necessarily have to take action on everything. We don't have to question everything around us unnecessarily, you know? And eventually when you just let things be what they are, you don't question it, you just let it be and live its own life, then it kind of frees up your head for the more pressing questions that you have to ask yourself. I'm not talking about like the big questions of life, but like whatever questions you need to make a priority. It definitely frees up space for you to put more effort into answering the higher priority questions that you have that can help improve your life. And that is phenomenal, and I'm so happy that I learned that, and I'm starting to accept the message and live the message. But yeah, Thank you so much, guys. That's Taoism and how it's impacted my life. I went on a bit of a tangent, but honestly, I love it. I love it so much. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe this video. I would really like to know your experience with Stoicism and Taoism, or just what helps you through your day-to-day life, what helps make that a little bit easier. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace and love.